Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you think is real might just be a fraction of something much bigger. Science would tell you your mind is only processing electrical impulses.
Which sounds way less exciting than it actually is. Like describing chocolate as a mix of sugar and fat. Technically true, but you're missing the magic.
Exactly. So here's the real question. Can science explain consciousness, or is there something beyond the scientific method?
Today, we're going all in on one of humanity's biggest mysteries, consciousness. We're talking 7 topics, from cutting-edge neuroscience to mind-bending spiritual experiences. But heads up, topic number 5 is the one that'll flip your entire understanding upside down, and might even flip you upside down if you're sitting in a chair.
And we won't be alone. We've got insights from Darius J. Wright, a guy who challenges traditional scientific explanations and sees consciousness not as a product of the brain, but as the very essence of who we are.
So before we dive in, what do you think? Can science explain everything? Or are there some things you can only feel, never measure?
While you think about that, hit that like button so YouTube knows you're into exploring the edge of what's possible. And subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. So, consciousness. Science calls it a state of awareness of oneself and the environment.
Which is basically a fancy way of saying, you know you exist, and you know the couch exists too.
True, but here's the catch. Science still can't fully explain where awareness comes from. How does a lump of matter, like the brain, create the feeling of being you?
Yeah, it's like having all the parts of a car, but not knowing what makes it actually start. Except, in this case, the car also writes poetry, remembers high school crushes, and occasionally wonders about the meaning of life.
On the scientific side, you've got cognitive neuroscience, integrated information theory, and global workspace theory, all trying to map how the brain processes information to create consciousness.
And on the spiritual side, consciousness might not be created at all. It might be something that exists beyond the brain, like the brain is just the radio, and consciousness is the signal.
Exactly, which brings us to an interesting thought. If consciousness is the signal, maybe it doesn't die when the radio breaks.
Meaning, your awareness could go somewhere after death. And no, I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm saying it's possible.
So, here's a question for you watching. Do you think your mind is inside your brain? Or is your brain inside your mind?
And while you chew on that, remember, we're just warming up. Darius J. Wright's perspective is coming up next. And trust me, it's not your typical brain in a jar story.
Now, let's talk about Darius J. Wright, a man who looks at consciousness and says, sure, science is great, but it's not the whole picture.
Yeah, he's basically the guy at the dinner party who listens to the neuroscientists talk about brain scans and then casually mentions he's had out-of-body experiences since he was 12.
Exactly. Darius explores things like reincarnation, near-death experiences, and states of awareness that science hasn't figured out how to measure.
And his core idea? Consciousness isn't trapped in the body, it's something vast, limitless, a field we're all connected to.
Which brings us to one of his favorite topics, intuition. He calls it the bridge between the conscious mind and the greater universal truth.
I call it that mysterious voice that told me not to eat gas station sushi. But sure, greater universal truth works too.
Jokes aside, Darius sees intuition as a real, reliable form of knowing, one that can guide you into experiences science can't yet explain.
And when he says intuition, he's not talking about a random gut feeling. He means a direct link to something bigger than yourself.
So, here's a question for you watching. When you've had a moment of pure instinct, a sudden insight you knew was true, do you think that was just your brain processing data, or was it a connection to that larger field of consciousness?
Hold that thought, because next we're going to see what science actually does know about consciousness and where it keeps hitting the wall.
All right, let's put on the lab coat for a moment. What does science actually know about consciousness?
Step 1. Scan your brain. Step 2. Stare at colorful MRI images until you feel smarter.
Not exactly wrong. We've got fMRI studies showing which parts of the brain light up when you see, think, or remember something. We know certain neural networks, like the default mode network, are linked to self-awareness.
And we've got theories. So many theories. Integrated information theory says consciousness is about how much information your brain can integrate at once.
Then there's global workspace theory, which suggests consciousness is like a mental stage where your brain puts the most important information so your mind can act on it.
Basically, one theory is you're aware because you process a lot at the same time. And the other is you're aware because your brain's a theater and your thoughts are the actors.
But here's the thing. None of these theories explain why it feels like something to be you. That's called the hard problem of consciousness.
Yeah, science can tell us which parts of the brain are active when you smell coffee, but it can't tell us why that smell makes you feel like you're home on a rainy Sunday morning.
And that gap between brain activity and lived experience, that's where things get really interesting, and where Darius's ideas about intuition start to challenge the whole model.
Which is perfect, because next we're hitting topic 5, the one I promised would change how you see everything we've talked about so far.
Okay, this is topic 5, the one that can flip your entire perspective. We've talked science, we've talked theory, but now let's talk about intuition.
You mean that mysterious moment when you just know something, like when your phone rings and you already know who it is, even before checking, and it's not your mom?
Exactly. Intuition goes beyond logic. It's not about crunching data. It's about accessing a deeper layer of knowing, something that might be woven into the very fabric of consciousness.
And here's where Darius J. Wright's perspective really shakes things up. He believes intuition is a direct connection to a greater universal field, not just a quirky brain trick.
Intuition is the bridge between the conscious mind and the greater universal truth. That's how he puts it.
Which makes me wonder if the brain is a radio, maybe intuition is that static you hear before the music comes on, except sometimes the static is the message.
That's an oddly good metaphor. And think about this. If science can't measure the quality of a feeling or an inner knowing, maybe it's because the tools we're using are only designed for the physical, not the infinite.
So here's a challenge for everyone watching. Think back to the last time you had a gut feeling that turned out to be right. Was it just coincidence, or was something or someone guiding you?
Hold on to that thought, because next, we're going to confront the biggest challenge science faces when trying to understand consciousness and why spirituality might have been holding part of the answer all along. Here's the thing. Science is incredible, but it works best when it can measure, weigh, and replicate results. Consciousness doesn't always play by those rules.
Yeah, it's like trying to weigh a dream on a kitchen scale. You can try, but you're just going to look weird doing it.
Exactly. The subjective experience, what it actually feels like to be you, can't be fully captured in a lab experiment.
And that's the big roadblock. Science can measure brain waves, but it can't measure heartbreak. It can map neurons firing when you laugh, but it can't measure why your laugh is different from anyone else's.
That's where spirituality, and yes, intuition, can offer something science can't. A way to experience consciousness directly without having to dissect it.
Darius says, the mind is not bound by the body. We are consciousness, and we have the power to transcend. Which, I'll be honest, sounds epic enough to be on a movie poster.
It does. And it's a reminder that maybe the ultimate understanding of consciousness won't come from choosing between science and spirituality, but from letting them work together.
So here's a question for you watching. If you could know the truth about consciousness, but it meant letting go of everything you currently believe, would you want to know it?
Keep that in mind, because in our final section, we're going to explore what the future of understanding consciousness could look like, and how you can be part of that shift.
So, what's next for our understanding of consciousness? Maybe it's not a battle between science and spirituality, but a partnership.
Yeah, like peanut butter and jelly. They're great on their own, but together, they make something way better.
Imagine scientists using advanced technology to map the brain, while also embracing ancient spiritual practices to explore consciousness from the inside out.
That's where you come in, because understanding consciousness isn't just for labs and meditation halls, it's personal. It's about how you experience life, how you listen to your intuition, and how you connect to something greater.
So here's your reflection. How will you explore your own consciousness? Through science, spirituality, or both?
And while you think about that, give this video a like, not just for us, but so more curious minds can find it.
Subscribe to The Quantum Soul so you're here for every new step on this journey.
And right now, you'll see 2 videos on your screen. Click one to keep going, because this journey doesn't end here.
Remember, the greatest discoveries aren't found under a microscope. They're found within you.